The Forbidden Encounter. The vast expanse of space around the Galactic Empire's Forbidden Zone was silent as always. For 10,000 years, no ship had dared to cross into this restricted area. The Empire had made it clear. Trespassing was punishable by total annihilation. But on this day, the silence was shattered. A massive, unidentified ship appeared at the edge of the zone, its arrival marked by a sudden disruption in the Empire's sensors. The flagship of the Empire, Eternum's Command, was stationed nearby, monitoring the area as part of its routine patrol. On the command deck, alarms blared, and officers scrambled to make sense of the readings. "Commander, we've detected an unknown vessel," one officer reported, his voice trembling. Size is beyond anything we've encountered before." Commander Raylan, a seasoned officer of the Empire, strode to the central holographic display. The image of the ship flickered into view, a behemoth, sleek and dark, unlike any design they had ever seen. Its sheer size dwarfed even the largest ships in the Empire's fleet. "What species does it belong to?" Raylan demanded, his voice sharp. The officer hesitated. It's human, sir." Raylan froze. Humans? That primitive species from the edge of the galaxy. The Empire had dismissed them as insignificant, a minor annoyance that had stubbornly resisted Imperial control. How could they possibly build something like this? Before he could respond, a signal came through. The unidentified ship was hailing them. "Put it on," Raylan ordered. A hologram flickered to life in the center of the deck, revealing a human woman in a crisp navy blue uniform. Her presence was commanding, her piercing eyes scanning the room as if she could see through the projection. "This is Admiral Elena Voss of the Earth Supercarrier Titan's Resolve," she said, her voice calm yet firm. "You are in violation of free space laws. Stand down, or face the consequences." Gasps echoed around the room. The audacity of the statement left the crew stunned. Raylan clenched his fists. "You dare threaten the Galactic Empire?" He spat. "Do you realize where you are?" Admiral Voss's expression didn't waver. "I know exactly where I am. Your Empire's tyranny has gone unchecked for too long. That ends today." Raylan smirked. "You're one ship. We have an entire fleet. Surrender now, and we might spare your crew." Voss tilted her head slightly, as if considering his words. Then she leaned forward, her tone growing colder. "One ship? Commander, you clearly don't know what you're dealing with." As if on cue, the Titan's Resolve activated its systems. The holographic display on the Eternum's Command lit up with a cascade of warnings. The human ship's energy signature spiked, its weapon systems coming online in a display of power that made the Empire's flagship look like a toy in comparison. The room fell silent. Even Raylan's confidence wavered. How is this possible?" he muttered under his breath. Admiral Voss continued, her voice cutting through the tension. "This is your final warning. The Empire's reign of fear and oppression is over. Stand down, or be prepared to face the consequences." Raylan turned to his crew. "Activate shields. Prepare to fire." The officers hesitated. One of them, a young lieutenant, spoke up. "Sir, our scans show that their weapon systems are beyond anything we've seen. If we engage, do as I say." Raylan barked. He refused to let a human dictate terms to him. The Empire had ruled unchallenged for millennia. This was nothing more than a bluff. It had to be. The crew obeyed, but their movements were slower than usual. Doubt had crept into their minds. What if the humans weren't bluffing? What if the stories of their resilience and ingenuity were true? Meanwhile, aboard the Titan's Resolve, Admiral Voss observed the Empire's hesitation with a hint of satisfaction. "They're scared," she remarked to her second-in-command, Commander Jace. Jace nodded. "As they should be. They've never faced anything like this." Voss leaned back in her chair. "Good. Let them sweat." Back on the Eternum's Command, Raylan made his decision. "Fire," he commanded. The Empire's flagship unleashed a barrage of energy blasts toward the human vessel. The display on the command deck showed the attacks moving swiftly toward their target. But just before they could make contact, the Titan's resolve vanished. "What? Where did it go?" Reland shouted, panic rising in his voice. "It's gone, sir," an officer replied. "No. Wait. It's behind us." Before they could react, the Titan's resolve reappeared, its advanced propulsion systems allowing it to outmaneuver the Empire's flagship effortlessly. A single warning shot fired from the human ship, a pulse of energy that disabled the shields of the Eternum's command in an instant. The hologram of Admiral Voss reappeared. "That was a demonstration," she said calmly. "The next shot won't miss. Surrender or prepare to face your Empire's first defeat in 10,000 years." Reland stared at her, his pride and fear battling within him. The room was silent, every officer waiting for his command. Finally, he gritted his teeth and gave the order. "Stand down." Voss smiled, a hint of triumph in her expression. "Wise choice. Relay this message to your Emperor. Humanity has arrived." With that, the hologram faded, and the Titan's resolve vanished once more, leaving the crew of the Eternum's command to grapple with a reality they had never thought possible. The Empire had been challenged, and for the first time in millennia, they were afraid. Unyielding power. The news of the human supercarrier's bold entrance into forbidden space spread like wildfire through the Galactic Empire's core systems. On every Imperial planet, from the bustling trade hubs to the quiet colonies, the same questions echoed. Who were these humans to challenge the greatest empire in history? On the capital world, Zenthera Prime, the Emperor himself convened an emergency council. The Grand Chamber, lined with shimmering golden walls and holographic displays, was filled with the most powerful leaders of the Empire. Seated on his massive throne, Emperor Kale Ax radiated authority, though a flicker of unease crossed his face as he studied the reports. "Explain to me," he began, his voice like thunder, "how a single human ship has managed to disable one of our finest flagships without taking a single hit." One of his top admirals, Lorcan Vex, stepped forward, his face pale but his voice steady. "Your Excellency, the humans have developed technology far beyond what we believed they were capable of. The Supercarrier, Titan's Resolve, uses advanced stealth systems, energy shielding, and weapons we cannot counter." The room erupted in murmurs, disbelief rippling through the council. The Empire had dominated the galaxy for 10 millennia. Every species they encountered either joined their rule or was obliterated. To think that a backwater species like humans could challenge their might was unthinkable. The Emperor raised his hand, silencing the room. "And yet, here they are," he said coldly. "What do they want?" "They claim our rule is oppressive and unjust," Lorcan replied. "Admiral Elena Voss has demanded we cease our control of neutral systems and dismantle our Imperial fleets in the outer sectors." Kale let out a bitter laugh. "They expect us to kneel before them. Foolish." His expression hardened. "We will remind them why no one opposes the Galactic Empire." Meanwhile, aboard the Titan's Resolve, Admiral Elena Voss and her crew were already preparing for the Empire's inevitable response. The command bridge of the Supercarrier was a marvel of human ingenuity, sleek, efficient, and buzzing with activity. Holographic displays floated in midair, showing tactical readouts and galactic maps. Commander Jace approached Voss, a wry smile on his face. "Well, they didn't take kindly to our arrival." Voss smirked. "I didn't expect them to. The Empire has had its way for too long. They think they're invincible." Jace gestured to one of the holographic displays, which showed the movement of multiple Imperial fleets converging on their position. "Looks like they're sending half their navy to prove it." Voss studied the screen for a moment, her eyes narrowing. "Good. Let them come. We've been waiting for this." The Titan's Resolve was no ordinary warship. Built in secret over decades, it represented the pinnacle of human innovation. Equipped with technology reverse-engineered from ancient alien artifacts and enhanced with Earth's unique creativity, the ship was designed for one purpose: to level the playing field against the Empire. The Supercarrier wasn't just a warship, it was a statement. Humanity would no longer be ignored. 3 days later, the Empire's fleet arrived. Hundreds of starships surrounded the Forbidden Zone, forming an impenetrable wall of firepower. The flagship of the fleet, Eternal Dominion, hailed the Titan's resolve. "Human vessel," boomed the voice of Admiral Lorcan Vex, his holographic image appearing on Voss's command deck. "You have overstepped your bounds. Surrender now, and perhaps we will show mercy." Voss leaned back in her chair, an unbothered expression on her face. "I see the Empire likes to make grand speeches. Unfortunately for you, we're not in the mood to listen." Lorcan's face twisted in anger. "You are one ship against the might of the Empire. You will be annihilated." Voss raised an eyebrow. "One ship? You think that's all we have?" At her command, the Titan's resolve activated its holographic systems, projecting a false image of additional human ships emerging from hyperspace. To the Imperial fleet, it looked as though an entire human armada had appeared out of nowhere. The illusion was so convincing that even the Empire's advanced sensors couldn't tell it was fake. Panic spread through the Imperial ranks. "Admiral, our scans showed dozens of human ships," an officer reported. Lorcan hesitated. Could it be true? Had the humans built an entire fleet without the Empire's knowledge? Voss watched their confusion with a quiet satisfaction. "Your move, Admiral," she said coolly. Lorcan, unwilling to appear weak, gave the order. "All ships, fire at will." The Empire's fleet unleashed a storm of energy blasts, their weapons lighting up the darkness of space. But the holographic ships vanished as the blasts passed through them, revealing the truth. The Titan's resolve was alone. "Deceivers!" Lorcan roared, but before he could issue new orders, the Titan's resolve struck back. With pinpoint accuracy, the human supercarrier fired its gravity manipulation cannon, a weapon so advanced it bent space itself. The blast didn't destroy Imperial ships outright. It tore them apart piece by piece, leaving their crews scrambling in panic. The flagship Eternal Dominion barely escaped the first wave of destruction. On the Titan's resolve, Commander Jace couldn't hide his grin. "Looks like they weren't ready for us." "They never are," Voss replied, her focus unbroken. "But this is just the beginning. They'll adapt, and they'll come back stronger. We need to stay one step ahead." As the remnants of the Imperial fleet retreated, Voss addressed her crew. "We've made our first move, but the Empire won't take this lying down. Prepare for escalation. Humanity's fight for freedom has only just begun." The message was clear. The Empire had faced the unimaginable. A species they had dismissed as insignificant had not only challenged their power, but had struck a devastating blow. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Galactic Empire was on the defensive, and Admiral Elena Voss was just getting started. The Empire strikes first. The Empire's pride had been wounded, and Emperor Kale Ix would not let such an insult go unanswered. On Synthera Prime, the Emperor convened with his war council in the Obsidian War Chamber, a room where no defeat had ever been strategized. The defeat at the hands of a single human ship was now the black mark on their otherwise unblemished rule. Admiral Vex failed to deliver a victory, the Emperor growled, his voice cold and unyielding. "If humans believe this minor victory changes the balance of power, we shall educate them in the scale of our might." A new plan emerged, one designed to eliminate humanity before they could gain further momentum. The Empire would launch an overwhelming assault, deploying its most feared fleet, the Sovereign's Wrath. Commanded by Admiral Zarathal, renowned for her ruthless efficiency and zero tolerance for insubordination. Zara was no ordinary admiral. Unlike her peers, she had studied human history and psychology. "Humans thrive under pressure," Zara told the council. "We won't simply attack them. We will break their spirit. Their hope must be crushed entirely." The Emperor nodded. "You have full authority. Ensure the humans never rise again. Meanwhile, aboard the Titan's Resolve, Admiral Elena Voss and her crew analyzed the aftermath of their first encounter with the Empire. The mood on the bridge was cautiously optimistic. The destruction of the Empire's fleet had sent a clear message. Humanity was no longer a pushover. Commander Jace, as usual, was brimming with confidence. "We crippled one of their best fleets and walked away without a scratch. I'd say we're doing pretty well." Admiral Voss, however, was less optimistic. Her sharp eyes scanned the tactical reports. "This was just their first move, Jace. They'll come back with more. The Empire doesn't lose quietly." As if on cue, a sensor officer called out, "Admiral, we're picking up multiple hyperspace signatures. They're converging on our location." The bridge fell silent as the holographic display lit up. Hundreds of Imperial ships emerged from hyperspace, led by the Sovereign's Wrath, a colossal battleship bristling with weaponry. It was larger than any ship humanity had ever seen, dwarfing even the Titan's Resolve. Voss's calm demeanor never faltered. "Open a channel," she ordered. The hologram of Admiral Zarathal appeared, her silver armor gleaming under the harsh lights of her warship. Her piercing gaze met Voss's. "Admiral Voss," Zara began, her tone icy, "you've made quite an impression, but this is where your little rebellion ends." Voss crossed her arms. "Rebellion? We're not rebelling against anything. We're taking back what's ours. Freedom." Zara's lips curled into a smirk. "Freedom? How quaint. You'll find it hard to celebrate freedom when your ship is reduced to ash." Without waiting for a response, Zara cut the transmission. Moments later, the Sovereign's Wrath unleashed its first salvo, a barrage of energy beams so powerful they distorted the surrounding space. The Titan's Resolve dodged most of the blasts with its advanced propulsion systems, but a few hit their mark, shaking the ship violently. "Shield holding, but only just," one officer reported. Voss remained calm, her mind racing through strategies. "They're testing us," she muttered. "They want to see how we react." Commander Jace frowned. "And what's the plan, Admiral?" "They'd got us outnumbered and outgunned." Voss tapped a few commands into her console, and a section of the holographic map zoomed in on a nearby asteroid field. "We're not fighting them on their terms. Helm, take us into the field. Let's see how well their massive fleet handles tight quarters." The Titan's Resolve darted into the asteroid field, its smaller size and superior maneuverability allowing it to weave through the dense cluster of rocks with ease. The Imperial fleet hesitated. Their ships were too large to navigate the field without significant risk. Zarathal, however, was unshaken. "Send the drones," she commanded. From the Sovereign's Wrath, thousands of small, agile drones launched, their engines glowing ominously. These autonomous machines were equipped with advanced AI and high-yield explosives, designed to swarm and destroy targets in confined spaces. On the Titan's Resolve, alarms blared as the drones closed in. "Incoming swarm. They're too fast to target individually." Voss gritted her teeth. "Deploy countermeasures. Activate the gravitic field disruptors." The Supercarrier unleashed a burst of gravitational energy, creating localized anomalies that pulled the drones off course. Many of them collided with asteroids, detonating in fiery bursts. Still, some managed to get through, slamming into the ship's shields. "Shields down to 60%, an officer reported. Voss clenched her fists. The Titan's Resolve was holding its own, but it was clear the Empire had come prepared. She needed to turn the tide, and fast. Admiral Zara watched the battle unfold from the command deck of the Sovereign's Wrath, her confidence unwavering. "Humans are clever, I'll give them that," she said to her second-in-command. "But cleverness won't save them." Just as she finished speaking, the holographic display of the battlefield flickered. Zara's eyes narrowed. "What is this?" On the Titan's Resolve, Voss smirked as her engineers activated a new piece of human ingenuity, a subspace signal scrambler. The device disrupted the Empire's fleet communications and targeting systems, throwing their formation into chaos. "Admiral, their drones are losing coordination," Jace exclaimed. "Good," Voss replied. "Now let's give them something to remember. Target the Sovereign's wrath. Full power to the main cannon." The Supercarrier's gravity manipulation cannon fired, sending a wave of destructive energy toward the Empire's flagship. The Sovereign's wrath managed to deflect some of the blast with its shields, but the sheer force of the attack caused the massive ship to shudder. Zarathal's composure cracked for the first time. "So the humans have teeth," she muttered. "But this battle isn't over." As the Imperial fleet regrouped, the Titan's resolve disappeared deeper into the asteroid field, leaving behind only debris and questions. The Empire's first strike had failed, but Zarathal wasn't done yet. Humanity had won another battle, but the war was just beginning. Humanity's secret weapon. The Galactic Empire's defeat at the asteroid field sent shockwaves through the galaxy. The unthinkable had happened. A single human ship had humiliated the Empire's most elite fleet. For the first time in millennia, cracks began to form in the Empire's foundation, and in those cracks, whispers of rebellion started to grow. On board the Titan's resolve, the mood was tense. Victory had come at a cost. Shields were at minimal capacity, the hull bore the scars of battle, and the crew was fatigued. But Admiral Elena Voss was already planning their next move. In the war room, holograms of the galaxy's star systems floated around her and her senior officers. Commander Jace leaned against the console, his usual humor replaced with concern. "We can't keep playing this game, Admiral," Jace said. "The Empire will just keep sending bigger fleets. Sooner or later, they'll wear us down." Voss didn't respond immediately. Her eyes were fixed on a specific point in the hologram, an unassuming star system labeled Rodian 6. Finally, she spoke. "They won't get the chance. We're taking the fight to them." The officers exchanged uneasy glances. "With all due respect, Admiral," said Lieutenant Commander Reyna, the ship's tactical expert, "how do you propose we take the fight to an empire with thousands of ships? We're one carrier." Voss turned to face her crew, her expression resolute. "We're not just any carrier. And it's time the Empire learns what that means." The Titan's resolve set a course for Rodian 6, a remote system that held a closely guarded human secret. As the ship entered orbit around the barren world, the crew could barely contain their curiosity. "What's down there?" Jace asked, standing beside Voss on the bridge. Voss allowed herself a small smile, something the Empire will never see coming. From the surface of the planet, massive structures began to activate. Ancient machinery, hidden for centuries, roared to life. Rodian 6 had been humanity's greatest secret, a hidden fortress world where experimental technologies had been developed in complete secrecy. Among them was humanity's secret weapon, the Excalibur Protocol. Deep within the fortress, a team of engineers and scientists worked tirelessly to prepare the weapon. The Excalibur Protocol wasn't a traditional weapon. It was a fleet of autonomous war drones, each equipped with the same gravity manipulation technology as the Titan's resolve. The drones were designed to operate independently, coordinating through an advanced AI network that could adapt to any battle scenario. The Empire had no idea such a system existed, and Voss intended to keep it that way. As the drones were loaded onto the Titan's resolve, Jace stared at the screen displaying their capabilities. "These things are terrifying," he said. "Are we sure they're safe to use?" Voss gave him a pointed look. "Safe? No. But necessary? Absolutely. The Empire won't stop until they've crushed us, Jace. If we want to win, we have to be willing to take risks." Meanwhile, on the Empire's capital world, Emperor Kale AX was preparing his own response. The humiliations his fleets had suffered were unacceptable, and his anger burned hotter with each passing day. In the Imperial throne room, Admiral Zarathal knelt before him, her face a mask of determination. "I failed you, Your Excellency," Zara admitted. But I will not fail again. Kale regarded her coldly. No, you won't. Because this time, you'll have no choice but to succeed. He gestured, and a hologram of a massive superweapon appeared. It was the Empire's ace in the hole, the Annihilator Sphere. Powered by enslaved alien minds, the sphere was capable of obliterating entire star systems in a single strike. Its activation would send a message to the galaxy that resistance was futile. Zara's eyes widened as she took in the details of the weapon. You mean to use this, Your Excellency? Cal's expression darkened. If the humans think they can challenge us, they will witness the cost of defiance. Find them. Destroy them. Leave nothing behind. Back aboard the Titan's Resolve, the crew prepared for their next mission. Their target, the Imperial shipyard at Korath Prime. Destroying it would cripple the Empire's ability to replenish its fleets, giving humanity and its allies a chance to strike deeper into Imperial territory. The crew's morale was mixed. The stakes were higher than ever, and the risks were immense. But as Voss addressed them, her words lit a spark of determination. We've come this far because we refuse to be slaves to fear, she said. The Empire may have more ships, more resources, and more soldiers, but they don't have what we have. The will to fight for what's right. Today, we take another step toward freedom, for humanity, and for every species that has suffered under the Empire's rule. The crew erupted into cheers, their doubts pushed aside by the Admiral's unwavering confidence. The Titan's Resolve and its newly deployed fleet of autonomous drones entered the Korath Prime system under the cover of advanced stealth technology. The Empire's defenses were formidable, but they weren't prepared for what came next. As the drones launched from the carrier, they moved with terrifying precision, targeting critical systems on the Imperial ships and shipyard. The gravity manipulation technology rendered shields useless, and the Empire's fleet was caught completely off guard. Admiral Zarathal, commanding from a nearby vessel, watched in disbelief as her forces were decimated. "What are these things?" she demanded. Her officers could only stammer in response. "We've never seen anything like them, Admiral. They're unstoppable." But Zara wasn't ready to concede defeat. "Prepare the doomsday weapon," she ordered. "If we can't win this battle, we'll make sure the humans don't win the war." As the Titan's Resolve continued its assault, Voss received a chilling report. The Empire was activating the Annihilator Sphere. Billions of lives were at stake. Voss's jaw tightened. "We're not letting them fire that weapon. Prepare for a direct assault." The stage was set for the ultimate confrontation, a battle that would determine the fate of not just humanity, but the entire galaxy. And Voss knew one thing for certain. No matter the odds, the Titan's Resolve would not back down. A risky alliance. The shadow of the Annihilator Sphere loomed over the galaxy like a harbinger of doom. Hidden deep within the Empire's most fortified system, the superweapon was weeks away from full activation. Its purpose was clear: obliterate humanity and any species that dared to resist the Galactic Empire. On board the Titan's Resolve, the tension was palpable. Admiral Elena Voss had called a meeting with her senior officers and key representatives of allied species, the few alien factions who had secretly pledged their support. Around the circular command table, holograms of alien leaders flickered into view, each bearing the weight of their people's suffering under the Empire's rule. "Let me be clear," Voss began, her tone sharp and direct. "The Empire isn't just coming for humanity. They're coming for anyone who dares to dream of freedom. If the Annihilator Sphere fires, it won't stop with us. Your worlds will be next." The room was silent. The alien leaders exchanged uneasy glances. Finally, Kalar, a reptilian warrior from the Krexian resistance, spoke up. "Your ship is impressive, human. But you're asking us to gamble our lives on a single chance. If we fail, the Empire will wipe us all out." Voss met his gaze with unwavering determination. "It's not just a chance. It's our best chance. The Titan's resolve and the Excalibur drones have already proven their worth. With your fleets and ground forces, we can overwhelm the Empire's defenses and destroy the sphere before it becomes operational. A younger alien, Mevra of the Thrin, a race known for their technological brilliance, hesitated before speaking. The sphere isn't just a weapon. It's powered by the stolen minds of our people. If we attack recklessly, we could kill them all. Her words sent a wave of discomfort through the room. Voss nodded solemnly. I know what's at stake. That's why we won't just destroy the sphere. We'll disable it and free those minds. We've already analyzed the sphere's schematics. It's a long shot, but we have a plan. As the meeting adjourned, the fleet prepared for what would undoubtedly be the most dangerous mission yet. The human Supercarrier and its allied forces began coordinating their attack, but the stakes weighed heavily on everyone. In the quiet of her quarters, Voss studied the holographic schematics of the sphere. Jace entered, leaning against the doorway. This is insane, he said. Even for us. Voss glanced up, a faint smirk playing on her lips. Insane is what got us this far, Jace. He stepped closer, his voice softer. I'm just saying, if this doesn't work. It will. She cut him off. It has to. Jace nodded, though the worry in his eyes lingered. Well, let's make history then. The assault on the sphere began with an elaborate deception. The Titan's resolve and its allies created a diversion, launching a series of coordinated strikes across the Empire's key systems to draw their fleets away from the sphere's location. The Empire, confident in its technological superiority, fell for the trap. Admiral Zarathal, however, was not so easily fooled. From her command ship, she studied the reports of scattered attacks and narrowed her eyes. They're trying to divide our forces, she muttered. The humans are targeting something important. Focus all long-range scans on the sphere's sector. As the Titan's resolve and its allies approached the sphere's location, they encountered a massive Imperial defense fleet, far larger than expected. Voss immediately knew the deception had only partially worked. They're onto us, she said grimly. All ships, hold formation. We're pushing through. The ensuing battle was chaos. The Titan's resolve unleashed its Excalibur drones, which swarmed through the enemy fleet with deadly precision. Allied ships fought bravely, but the Empire's numbers began to take their toll. Amid the carnage, Mevra and her Thrin engineers worked feverishly from their ship to hack into the sphere's systems remotely. If they could disable its power grid, it would buy time for Voss and her strike team to infiltrate the weapon. On the bridge of the Titan's resolve, Jace shouted over the noise of battle. Admiral, the sphere is charging. We're running out of time. Voss made a snap decision. Prepare the boarding teams. I'm leading this one myself. The strike team, composed of humans and allied soldiers, launched from the Titan's resolve in stealth pods, weaving through the chaos of the battle. As they landed on the sphere's surface, they were met with fierce resistance from Imperial forces. The corridors of the massive weapon were a labyrinth of danger, filled with traps and heavily armed guards. Voss led the charge, her tactical visor scanning for the sphere's core. Kalar and his Krexian warriors carved a path through the enemy, their brute strength unmatched. Mevra followed closely, carrying a portable interface device to disrupt the sphere's systems. Admiral, we're nearing the core, Mevra shouted as they entered a massive chamber glowing with eerie blue light. Hundreds of floating pods lined the walls, each containing the consciousness of a captured alien mind. Suddenly, Zarathal's voice echoed through the chamber, transmitted from the sphere's command center. You think you've won by getting this far. You've only ensured your own destruction. Imperial reinforcements poured into the chamber, and a fierce firefight ensued. The strike team fought desperately, but the odds were overwhelming. Mevra worked quickly, connecting her device to the sphere's control panel. I need more time, she yelled. You'll get it, Voss replied, taking cover and returning fire. No one's dying here today. As the battle raged, the tide began to shift. Allied forces in space managed to break through the Imperial fleet, sending reinforcements to the sphere. The Titan's resolve targeted the weapon's external defenses, buying precious moments for the strike team. Finally, Mever shouted, "I've done it. The core is destabilizing." The floating pods began to release their captives, the stolen minds returning to their bodies across the galaxy. But the sphere's systems were now unstable, and it was moments away from catastrophic collapse. Voss gave the order, "All teams, evacuate." Now, as the strike team raced back to their pods, the sphere's structure began to shake violently. Explosions tore through the corridors, and the strike team barely made it out alive. From space, the Titan's resolve and its allies watched as the sphere imploded in a spectacular burst of light. The mission had been a success, but the war was far from over. For the first time, the Empire's greatest weapon had been destroyed. Humanity and its allies had proven their strength, but Voss knew the Empire wouldn't stop until every last rebel was crushed. The fight for the galaxy's freedom had entered its most dangerous phase yet, the final battle. The destruction of the Annihilator sphere sent shockwaves across the galaxy. For the first time in its 10,000-year reign, the Galactic Empire had suffered not just a defeat, but an existential blow. Rebellions erupted on dozens of planets as oppressed species, inspired by humanity's audacity, began rising up against their imperial overlords. But the Empire was far from finished. In the aftermath of the sphere's collapse, Emperor Cal-Ax declared total war. From the farthest reaches of the galaxy, the Empire began pulling in every remaining fleet, every reserve battalion, and every weapon of mass destruction. Their target was clear: humanity. And at the center of this storm was Admiral Elena Voss and the Titan's resolve. On board the Supercarrier, the mood was grim but resolute. The crew knew the Empire wouldn't let this stand. Reports from Allied forces poured in. Fleets were mobilizing, planets were being scorched, and Imperial reinforcements were converging on a single location: Earth. Standing on the bridge, Voss stared at the holographic display of the galaxy, where red markers representing the Empire's forces were closing in on humanity's homeworld. "They're making their move," Commander Jace said, his voice low. Voss nodded. "They're throwing everything they have. If we lose Earth, the rebellion dies with it." Jace hesitated before asking, "And if we win?" Voss turned to face him, her eyes steely. "If we win, the Empire falls." Earth had been prepared for this moment. For decades, humanity had anticipated the day when the Empire would bring its full force to bear. Orbital defense platforms surrounded the planet, bristling with cutting-edge weaponry. Fleets of human ships stood ready, reinforced by Allied vessels from species who had joined humanity's cause. As the Empire's fleets began to arrive, the skies above Earth became a battlefield. The first wave of Imperial ships surged forward, their formations tight and disciplined. The Titan's resolve led the counterattack, its Excalibur drones weaving through the chaos and tearing apart enemy ships with terrifying precision. Admiral Voss coordinated the defense with ruthless efficiency. "Focus fire on their command ships," she ordered. "Take out their leadership, and the rest will falter." The battle was brutal. Imperial forces vastly outnumbered the defenders, but humanity and its allies fought with a desperation born of survival. On the surface of Earth, civilians watched the spectacle unfold, their hope pinned on the heroes fighting above. Amid the chaos, the Empire revealed its trump card: the Emperor's Wrath, a colossal dreadnought unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Over 50 kilometers long, the ship bristled with superweapons capable of leveling entire fleets in a single shot. Its arrival sent a ripple of fear through the Allied forces. On the Titan's resolve, the bridge went silent as the dreadnought appeared on the holographic display. Commander Jace let out a low whistle. "That thing's a planet killer." Voss didn't flinch. "We've faced impossible odds before. This is no different." The Emperor's Wrath wasted no time. Unleashing its main weapon, a beam of energy so powerful it obliterated one of Earth's orbital defense platforms in an instant. The Allied fleet scrambled to regroup, but the dreadnought's presence shifted the tide of battle. Voss made a decision. "Prepare the gravity cannon," she ordered. The gravity manipulation cannon, humanity's most powerful weapon, was the only thing that could potentially pierce the dreadnought's defenses. But firing it at full power required the Titan's resolve to divert energy from its shields, leaving the ship vulnerable. "Admiral," Jace warned, "if we miss." "We won't," Voss interrupted. Her voice was firm, but her hands tightened on the console. The Titan's resolve charged its gravity cannon, drawing the attention of the Emperor's wrath. The dreadnought's smaller escort ships closed in, bombarding the Supercarrier in an attempt to disrupt the charge. The Titan's resolve shook violently as its shields dropped to critical levels. "Shields at 20%, a crew member shouted. "Hold steady," Voss commanded. "We need 5 more seconds." As the cannon reached full charge, Voss gave the order. "Fire." The beam of gravitational energy tore through space, bending light and matter as it moved. It struck the Emperor's wrath dead center, breaching its shields and piercing its hull. For a moment, the massive ship seemed to hold, but then explosions rippled across its surface. The dreadnought broke apart in a spectacular cascade of fire and debris. A cheer erupted on the Titan's resolve, but Voss raised her hand, silencing the celebration. "It's not over yet." The destruction of the Emperor's wrath demoralized the Imperial fleet, but they continued their assault with grim determination. Voss knew they were buying time. Time for the Emperor's true plan to unfold. A transmission from an Allied spy within the Empire confirmed her fears. "The Emperor is on his way," the spy reported. "He's bringing the Crown of Eternity." The Crown of Eternity was the Empire's command station, a massive fortress capable of deploying fleets and launching planet-killer weapons. It was the heart of the Empire's power, and its arrival signaled the Emperor's intention to end the war in a single decisive blow. Voss took a deep breath. "We have one chance," she said. "If we destroy the Crown of Eternity, we take out the Emperor and shatter the Empire's chain of command. But we'll need every ship, every ally, and every ounce of courage to pull it off." As the Crown of Eternity appeared on the edge of the battlefield, the Allied forces rallied for one final stand. Voss looked around at her crew, their faces a mix of fear and determination. "This is it," she said. "The battle that will decide the fate of the galaxy. Let's make it count." The stage was set for the ultimate confrontation, and Voss knew one thing for certain. Win or lose, humanity would never back down. The fall of the Empire. The arrival of the Crown of Eternity changed the battlefield. The Empire's command station was more than a fortress. It was a symbol of their unshakable dominance. Massive and heavily armed, it radiated an aura of invincibility. Protected by countless escort ships and armed with planet-destroying superweapons, the Crown was a terrifying sight to behold. On board the Titan's resolve, Admiral Elena Voss stood resolute as the colossal station loomed in the distance. The Allied fleet, battered but unbroken, formed up behind her. The holographic display showed the Crown slowly moving into position, its super weapons charging. "Admiral," Commander Jace said, his voice tense, "the Crown is targeting Earth. We don't have much time." Voss nodded, her gaze unflinching. "Then we make this quick. All ships, prepare for a coordinated assault. Target the Crown's weapon arrays. We'll cut off its teeth before it can bite." The battle began in earnest. The Allied fleet surged forward, a patchwork of human and alien ships working in perfect unison. The Titan's resolve led the charge, its Excalibur drones slicing through the Imperial escorts with terrifying efficiency. Explosions lit up the void as the Empire's outer defenses crumbled. But the Crown of Eternity was no easy target. Its massive energy shields absorbed the initial bombardment, and its counterattacks were devastating. Massive turrets unleashed waves of plasma fire, shredding smaller Allied ships and forcing the fleet to regroup. "We can't break through those shields," an officer shouted. Voss's expression hardened. "We don't need to. Not yet." Inside the Crown of Eternity, Emperor Cal Ax watched the battle unfold from his throne in the command chamber. The massive room, adorned with holographic projections of the battlefield, buzzed with activity as Imperial officers relayed updates. "Human forces are advancing, Your Excellency," one officer reported. "They've breached our outer defenses." Cal's lips curled into a cold smile. "Let them come. The closer they get, the easier it will be to destroy them." Back on the Titan's Resolve, Voss prepared for the next phase of her plan. "It's time to bring the fight inside," she said. "Deploy the strike teams. We're taking the crown from within." The Titan's Resolve launched boarding pods, each carrying elite squads of human and allied soldiers. Their mission: infiltrate the Crown of Eternity and disable its core systems. Voss turned to Jace. "You're leading the main team." "I'll coordinate from here." Jace raised an eyebrow. "You're letting me have the fun this time." Voss smirked. "Don't make me regret it." The strike teams breached the Crown's hull, fighting their way through endless corridors filled with Imperial troops. Commander Jace and his squad advanced toward the main power core, guided by Mevra's tactical expertise. The resistance was fierce, but the combined skills of the human and alien soldiers proved too much for the Empire's defenders. "Jace, you're nearing the core," Voss's voice crackled through the comms. "Be ready. It'll be heavily defended." "Don't worry," Jace replied. "We've got this." Meanwhile, the battle outside raged on. The Titan's Resolve engaged the Crown directly, drawing its fire and giving the strike teams the time they needed. The Supercarrier's shields flickered under the relentless assault, but Voss refused to retreat. "Focus all fire on their forward batteries," she commanded. "Keep them distracted." The Allied fleet rallied around the Titan's Resolve, their combined firepower slowly chipping away at the Crown's shields. Inside the Crown, Jace's team reached the power core, a massive, pulsating structure at the heart of the station. But the Emperor had anticipated this move. Elite Imperial guards, clad in advanced battle armor, emerged from the shadows, blocking their path. "What's this?" Jace muttered. "A welcoming committee." The battle that followed was brutal. The guards were relentless, but the strike team fought with everything they had. Mevra worked frantically to hack into the core's systems, while Jace and the others held off the attackers. "Mevra, how's it looking?" Jace shouted. "Almost there," she replied. "Just a few more seconds." On the bridge of the Crown, Emperor Cal Ax watched the chaos with a growing sense of unease. Reports of system failures and sabotage poured in, and the holographic displays flickered with warnings. "Your Excellency," an officer said nervously, "the power core is destabilizing." Cal's calm demeanor shattered. "What? How?" Suddenly, the hologram of Admiral Voss appeared in the command chamber. She stood tall, her expression defiant. "Surprised to see me, Cal," she said. "Your reign ends today." Cal snarled. "You think this changes anything? Even if you destroy this station, the Empire will endure. I am eternal." Voss smirked. "You've ruled through fear for 10,000 years, but fear only works until someone stands up to it." As Mevra completed her hack, the power core began to overload. Alarms blared throughout the Crown of Eternity as energy surged uncontrollably. Jace's team evacuated just as the station started to collapse from within. On the Titan's Resolve, Voss gave the final order. "All ships, fall back. The Crown is finished." The Allied fleet retreated as the Crown of Eternity erupted in a cataclysmic explosion. The shockwave rippled through space, leaving no trace of the Empire's command station. The destruction of the Crown of Eternity was the final blow. Without their Emperor and their most powerful weapon, the Empire's forces crumbled. Rebellion spread like wildfire, and one by one, the Empire's remaining strongholds fell. Humanity had done the impossible. Against all odds, they had toppled the greatest power in the galaxy. In the aftermath, Admiral Voss addressed the galaxy in a broadcast that reached every corner of known space. "To every being who has suffered under the Empire's rule," she said, "know this. The age of tyranny is over. Together, we've proven that freedom is worth fighting for. This victory belongs to all of us." As cheers erupted across countless worlds, Voss turned to Jace and her crew. "This isn't the end," she said. "Rebuilding won't be easy, but for the first time in 10,000 years, we have a chance." The Titan's resolve sailed into the stars, its mission complete but its journey far from over. Humanity's fight had sparked a revolution, and the galaxy would never be the same again.